Always a delight to come your way with PM Personality Profile. My guest tonight is one of the ministers who practiced what he preached. Remember the blood donation on World Blood Donors Day? Just to send a signal that you and I can donate blood to save a life. He is the former Minister of Health, former Deputy Defense Minister, and former Deputy Chief of Staff. Currently, he is a Director of the International Relations Directorate of the NDC and a member of the NDC's National Executive Committee. Segbefia, my guest tonight. Good to see you. I've seen you on and off television since your tenure ended as minister. What have you been up to?
Well, I'm getting into excitement mode. 6 months to a general election. It's full of activity, and I'm really looking forward to this particular election. I think that the dynamics for these elections are quite promising for the National Democratic Congress. We are not leaving any stone unturned. We are not being in any way complacent. We are fully aware of our opponents and what they are capable of. But we are quietly confident that the moment is ours and we intend to seize it.
I want us to start on this note. Recently, your return to EC brought some relief to all of us because of the kind of heat that was between you and the Electoral Commission. So we're all happy when you returned to IPAC. But it does look like the mistrust is actually deepening even after that. What really is fueling this mistrust?
I think that we are not being fair to ourselves as a country if we actually look at the historical basis of opposition parties in relation to the EC. Historically, the opposition has always had issues with the EC. And IPAC was a vehicle that allowed these issues to be resolved in an amicable fashion. And predominantly, all the changes that Ghana has gone through in its electoral process have come and been driven by opposition parties. Okay. So between 1992 right up to 2000, from opaque ballot boxes to transparent, from ID cards that were black, no photographs, to photographs, to black and white, now we are biometric, and so on and so forth. All these have been driven by opposition requests and predominantly have been met by governments in power. So if you look at up until this current EC, a lot of things that have brought change have been driven either when the NPP, in fact predominantly when the NPP was in opposition, and some when the NDC. So our banter with the EC should not be seen as a surprise. It should be expected. It is the rigid position of the EC that has made this one a little bit more acrimonious, if I can put it that way. And fortunately, even difficult as it is, I think we are seeing some steps where things have now began to take a different turn on our return. So whereas we would have been having a huge fight about indelible ink issues, it's been put under the carpet. Where we would have had a huge fight as to when we should stop voting, whether it's 3 or 5, is stayed. When there were issues about whether the date should change or not, that has also that has also been accepted by the EC. That is the minority or the opposition position. Right. So when I look at it from that angle, yes, we will challenge them at every juncture. The other issue that is very important is that actually the EC has created the problem partially for itself. We have never had an election where the EC has come and said, by the way, the figures I brought out were not correct, so by the way, I'm changing them. First time it happened in 2020. And because of the number of times results came out, it left a very bitter taste in the mouth of us in opposition. Especially since we were so close, because this was a hung parliament. And some of us don't still believe it was. So it just meant that you had all the ingredients of mistrust in the way the results came out. And then you have now a registration exercise where simple arithmetic is becoming a problem. So automatically, eyebrows are raised. Then you look at the way officials were appointed. Never in our history have we had appointments of clearly partisan people as Electoral Commission. And it's brought to the fore and nothing is done about it. So when you have all these things, you have an ingredient for mistrust.
Yeah.
And so that has added. But we are Democrats. So ours is to make the noise and continue to make the noise till we finish voting.
Okay.
And we intend to do so. But we don't intend to bring the country to a standstill.
You've been monitoring the voter registration exercise since day one. What's your assessment of the process?
I think that first, let me go towards Ghanaians, and we have. I said so on a different interview where I said Ghanaians like last minute too much.
Yeah.
This exercise has been going for 2 weeks, and if it was 3 weeks, and to see the number of people who were now looking for an extension, when prior to that, some of the places, in some places, I'm not saying all, there was the opportunity for them to have registered without having to do it last minute. I think Ghanaians, we have to change our attitude in that. So that's the one, myself included. Then there's the EC's position on the exercise. I'm still not convinced that we should have had the exercise in the district offices alone. No. We should have found the money. We found money for all kinds of things. We should have found the money to have it, at the very least, at electoral areas.
Okay.
But in my opinion, even when we were a poorer nation, we were able to do it at polling stations. Right now, people are registering. They don't know where they are going to vote.
Okay.
So you get up one morning, you registered, you go to what you think is your polling station, and your name is not there. And you know how we are. Nobody is going to go and check at the exhibition. 40% if we are lucky. Everybody just assumes it's all right. You go there and your name is not there. You are now going to go and look to find out where your name is, if at all. It's over.
Yeah.
So I'm not happy. And our aim is to continue to push our people at the exhibition to go and check where your name is, which polling station you are at.
Before the election day.
Before the election. Because your name invariably is going to be missing. Because you voted in a constituency, but where exactly, or you registered in a, where exactly is your name going to be? And also, nothing can happen. No, mistakes will happen.
Yeah.
So go and check, so that if it's not where it's supposed to be, at least, even if you have to travel a little bit to go and vote, you know that this is where I'm going to be voting. My name is going to be there.
Yeah.
And that is what my concern about the way the EC organized this registration. Then in terms of confidence, the mistakes that they have made doesn't engender confidence for the election, because you continue to make mistakes. And then it gives ammunition to people who then say, well, if you're employing people who are on paper qualified simply because they are NPP flavored, and people are shouting that they are NPP flavored, and you're not listening, and then you're making mistakes, it means that you're not employing the right people. So the whole issue of employment, recruitment into the EC has to be looked at carefully. And there is some merit to say that the time will come where we have to take it away from maybe the Electoral Commission when it comes to recruitment. We should use it, well, we can use another agency to do with the recruitment and make sure that it is seen as a bipartisan or neutral institution, because the confidence that the ECU should have is not there. But maybe I'm going too far. we employ so many part-time people just for the elections. And as a result, it is, some may argue that it's very difficult. Everybody is either NPP, but you've got to do it in a transparent manner. We see adverts on platforms, specific platforms, for people to go to specific areas so that they can be recruited for specific. These things should not be happening. Put it in the public domain. Let it be open. Let's get people involved in the recruitment, and then we'll be in a better place. But as it stands, I think question marks definitely exist with regard to that process. But overall, I think that the exercise has been successful. People have had the opportunity to register, notwithstanding the very difficult distances people have had to travel. It has cost us a lot of money, and that is for all political parties. If you were in my area here, and you, Okaikwe North, Okaikwe Central, you wanted to register, you had to go to Achimota. So if you're in Fadama and you want to go, you need transport. There's nothing about walking distance, or you need transport to take you from one end to the other. So it meant you had to get vehicles and bus people and encourage people to go. And so it was important that the process was streamlined. But for the number of registration centers I visited, I must say that by and large, with a few skirmishes in some areas, it has been a peaceful, successful operation.
Okay. The Electoral Commission has hinted that it's going to take a CI to Parliament when Parliament comes back in June, on June 11th, to get people to the Ghana card to be the sole card for registering for elections. What's your position on this?
I don't know what it achieves, except create confusion in the minds of some. We're going for an election. We have a CI that is going to take us to that election. Let's not confuse people. You're going to get Parliament to be looking at a CI for the future, for an election that possibly is going to take place in 2028, in 2024, when there's an election in 2024 ahead of you. I don't understand that. Let's finish this election. Let's work with our CI. We have been in Parliament. We've all agreed on certain things that must change. It can be done in February, March, or April of next year. There wouldn't be a problem. The new Parliament that will be in place will be fully aware of what was agreed in the previous Parliament. I think it's a bad move. And all the documentation and everything will be available. I cannot see why we are rushing to do this. People will begin to play mischief with it. People will begin to quote it. And we intend to do this and to do this. No. Just work with your CI. Let's do what we have to do for 2024. Bring it the following year. That's my opinion. And maybe they will explain why. And if people feel that their reasons are cogent, fine. But why are we rushing to get something in that is effective in 2028, and in terms of our general election, when we are in 2024? The only plausible explanation I have in my mind is, oh, well, because it's been agreed by this Parliament, let's put it through now so that we don't have a problem next time round. No.
Has this come up at IPAC?
No. In fact, I specifically asked the question, it wasn't discussed as IPAC. So it's something that I believe has to come back again. And I'm not in favor of it, simply because I think that it creates the opportunity for people to be talking about something that is not, in terms of 6 months to an election, it's a priority. It's not a priority. Yes. Okay. It's not a priority at all. Don't muddy the waters.
Your party is out there chastising the government and Senate for selling 60% of its stake to the Agric minister. But some say the NDC cannot exonerate itself for such practices. Or is it the case that when it is NDC, then it's right? Then when it is some other people, it becomes wrong?
This particular sale has brought to the fore, and for me, it's needed, very good at this time, how much government or party political people should be involved in certain transactions. I have never been comfortable, notwithstanding what the court said was valid, with the whole issue of Jacob Vigilante buying that government house. I've never been comfortable with it. And especially when it went to court. But it's legitimate, fine. It leaves a bad taste in the mouth. And this is even worse. Because if you had run down businesses in the forms of hotels that you were trying to revamp and put in the market, and there was an interest from the government or any person who was in government to purchase, you could even have some sympathy for that because they were run down. We are giving away from government what we've heard about Labadi Beach Hotel, the fattest calf in fact, the bull. Oh, so this is the business. It has grown, it has reserves, it has money, it's an account, its rooms capacity are very high. Everything is going good for Labadi. Why are we selling it? Government doesn't have money. It pays so much taxes to government every year. Why don't we look at the management of Labadi and say, Labadi, maybe we should add Lapam. Hand over Labadi's Lapam to Labadi's people.
Okay.
Current government to manage.
Okay.
So that they bring, they are in the same area. Why are we giving it away to a third party? It's not necessary. Down the road is somebody who already knows how to do the business and is working it. So expand their frontier and forget about selling it. So that is the one aspect. You're selling something that doesn't need, or some of them that don't need sale.
Okay.
And you then have to look at how much investment has to go into. We can raise investment and do it. So, look, it's not by mistake that you have and all saying that this is a non-starter. It's not, it doesn't bode well. I mean, what is the history of the company that is, when you are bringing a strategic investor, it's not just about the money. It's about your historical basis in that industry. So what is the historical basis of, is it Rock City? What is their history in hotelier? That makes them the best option. It's not about just having the money. And why haven't you rather enhanced and found out why Labadi is successful? And next door, it's not. Let's work. Why are we in a hurry to be handing? And you see, what leaves, that is not to say that companies should not be involved or whatever. In this particular company, there's one shareholder, and that happens to be the minister in question. So he is one and the same as the company. And yes, I'm a lawyer. There's a company name and this thing. But in terms of how you view it or the perception, it is clear that this is almost a one-man band and he's being given carte blanche to do as he pleases. That is wrong. He's a minister of state. Stay out of this. I've always said, look, if you want to be a businessman, by all means, hand it over to your family member or some, but take your name off it so that at least you are removed from the scrutiny that exists. Many have done it in business. The one that comes to mind quickly is both our finance ministers. You understand? Dufour under NDC took himself away from the running of the bank. Same with Oforiata. So you have to find a way to divorce yourself from the day-to-day running of or having a major stake in. You haven't done that in this case. There's no effort being made. It's me, I'm the one. It has a smell, and it's not a good one.
You've always accused the NDC, the NPP government of mismanaging the economy. Did the NDC manage it any better?
100 times better. I don't think there's any comparison. Look, I think that you have to understand that when you are in politics going into government, there's something that you should always have at the back of your mind. You are going to solve problems.
Okay.
You are not going, you are a president or a minister as a problem solver. It's not a walk in the park. So if you go and you meet a problem, don't start saying, oh, this problem, you know, I didn't cause it. This problem is, you knew before you came that it's problems you are going to meet. Some you haven't seen, some you know about. It's as clear as daylight.
Okay.
So when Doomsaw came, President Mahama didn't go around saying that, look, Doomsaw, we were saying it, but he never said, oh, Kufuor started, and therefore there was Doomsaw, even Mills, even before that, Rawlings had seen Doomsaw is cyclical, because when we were always looking at hydro, and therefore when the rains come after 7 years, there's a dry this thing, it moves out, all that. He didn't say. All he said is, there's a problem in Ghana, it has to do with power generation, I will solve it. And then went about solving it. When Doomsaw was on, there was no Doomsaw in the UK, Russia or Ukraine, in the US or Australia, no Doomsaw. It was peculiar to Ghana. So nobody was rushing around to come and help Ghana. And it cost us an election. Let's be clear. But we didn't stop to say that we won't do it or we'll do it different and start blaming other people. We went about solving Doomsaw. And we solved it. Even Chairman Sabonsu, former majority leader, agreed that it was solved under. It didn't cost us a minister's job. Because by January, when the time of he himself had said by 1 year to be done, and there were still aspects of it, he had to do the honorable thing and resign. Based on his own, he fell on his sword. So, that is governance. You now have COVID. And every day there's a problem in our economy, you say COVID, Russia and Ukraine. All external factors which affected everybody or affects everybody. You even got close to 3 billion based on the COVID. So what's your problem? How can you begin to compare the two? There's no comparison. Mahama is a better manager of problems than Nanado will ever be. I was health minister and I always use it as an example. In my wildest dreams, if I had money for 111 hospitals, I would not start all 111 or even 70 or even 50 at the same time. It doesn't make sense in the slightest. Pick 5 or 10, build them, finish in your time span, then move to the next. So now we have 111 maybe structures at various levels of completion. If I ask you the simple question, which doctors and nurses are going to, if you've got money today and you finish all of them in 3 months, let's assume, which doctors and nurses are you going to put in them? Which laboratory technicians are you going to put in them? So you have white elephants because you don't have the staff to manage them. You don't. Your doctors and nurses, because of the problems you have created in your country, are leaving. And even if they didn't leave and they were there, they are not enough to do 111 hospitals. So stagger it. And you say that you want us to compare Mahama and this administration. There is no comparison.
Are you saying that during an NDC era, people did not complain like they are complaining now?
I've told you that. Even in the best so-called run economy, as a complaint, if you move somebody from Gobe to Pochilala salad, and the person is now used to Pochilala, the day that he doesn't get the egg to put into it, he will complain. He's forgotten that it was Gobe he was eating, and he's now eating Pochilala. So as for the complaints, no matter where you ought to come. But when you have a situation where you have complained bitterly about somebody's, and yours is totally worse than the person, and you are still clapping for yourself, then we have a problem. Then we have a problem. Because what are you clapping for yourself for? Exchange rate, dollar, you arrested it. Where is it today? At the moment, if it was a race horse, by now we have chop first. The way the horse is galloping, there's no arresting of anything. It is clear that they have lost control of our foreign exchange. You take inflation. When we were at 15%, 16%, you were shouting. Our peak, your peak was 54%. Unheard of. You have reached it. Now you are saying, oh, clap for me, it's coming down. It was down before it went there. You took it there. So if it's coming down, what are we clapping for you for? Take debt to GDP ratio. Take borrowing, how much we have borrowed. Has Ghana ever been deemed bankrupt in the Fourth Republic? We had to declare ourselves bankrupt. Have we ever done bonds in terms of haircuts? What is the comparison? So I'm clear in my mind. When it comes to a comparison between John Mahama and Nana Addo, they should take their whole 8 years, and we shall take John Mahama's 4. They don't come. He's 4 keke. Because if I add meals to it, Agbena.
You delve into the health sector
yes.
a bit. Let me bring you back to the health sector as a former Minister of Health. Yeah. What's your assessment of the health sector as it is now?
I'm reluctant to make any firm position because I really don't know. I know as much as everybody else in the country. Some things are very obvious. When I was health minister, we backed upon a campaign of prevention as opposed to in relation to cure, preventative medicine. Therefore, we were very keen on looking at what we were eating because we had gotten to the point where we realized that non-communicable diseases, cancers, dialysis, kidney problems, etc., were on the rise. And our traditional illnesses of malaria, etc., existed. We had a lot of support in dealing with them, what they call the ATM, tuberculosis, malaria, and HIV/AIDS. But we recognized what was happening, and the first thing we thought we had to do is begin to educate people on their diet. It was almost defeatist for this period because I believe that Galamsey has a very big part to play in our increase in kidney issues and other related issues. We are seeing even childbirth of deformed children in a way we haven't seen in many parts of the country, but predominantly in the areas of Galamsey. Mm-hmm. So there's a bigger challenge, which I do not believe is being fully addressed, because we have our priorities wrong at the moment with this government. We are interested in, how do I put it, eye service, as opposed to doing things that really matter, that can bring a change to our country. And the sooner we move away from monetizing everything and really thinking about how we can help our people, the better. The whole Galamsey issue has to be looked at, revisited, and I know that the challenge is not an easy one, don't get me wrong. But if we don't do anything about it, anybody who thinks we are making any profit from Galamsey will be totally will reverse it 2-3 times with the kind of cost it's costing us to continue with galamsey. The amount of money we use on chlorine to purify water, the lack of local fish and food in the areas where there's galamsey, the vegetation, which is soaking up minerals. If we are not careful, our exports of fruit and vegetable will be curtailed because other countries will say that the chemicals in our fruits is too much. You can name, we are going down a dangerous path. And if we do not arrest it, that's why when President Nana Addo came out and said that I'm putting my presidency on the line, we are going to do, we all, even us in NDC, we applauded him that, okay, go ahead, because it was necessary. Then we find out that your own people are the ones who are doing more galamsey than anybody. Just speak to Freeform Boateng. Anybody who wants to deal with the thing properly, so long as it's going to affect somebody's cash flow, leave it. But
during NDC's era, there was galamsey as well.
Somebody told us that from the days of Adam, there was prostitution. So we should continue. You have to curb it. It's a question of degree.
Did you curb it?
We kept it. As best, I mean, the galamsey that we have now, is it compared to what was there? I'm not saying why. It was under our time that Major Mahama was killed. Yes. So we know about the challenges. What we don't want is that don't get your people involved. Government officials. You say, oh, this person is this minister, that's his site. This MC, this is his site. They are saying it openly. So somebody could say, oh, bring evidence. Okay. Then your own minister, who is in charge, who is trying to, comes out with the evidence for all of us to see that this person is involved, this is what is going on. You don't do anything with the report. In fact, you vilify him. And then when the report is published, you say, oh, somebody should bring the report, let's look at it. 2 years, nothing happened.
Recent increase in the prices of dialysis treatments at the hospital, especially at Kolibu, has become a nightmare for people who require those services, with some even calling on government to make dialysis treatment free. How does all of this make you feel?
I'm careful because I was health minister. Anytime you go into a hospital, you are depressed. Because you want to help, but actually you can't do, there's very little you can do instantly. Most of the issues need proper long-term planning and attitudinal change. So, why? We have spoiled our hospitals. Government goes in, spends 200 million, brings in new equipment, new dialysis machine, new X-ray, new MRI, new CT scan. The hospital does not give it to you for free. When you go for CT scan, they charge you. They put it in their IGF. When you go for MRI, they charge you. They put it in their IGF. When the machine breaks down and it has to be repaired, they say they don't have money. They are waiting for government to come and repair it. Hello? So the money that you were collecting, what have you used it for? Some other spurious thing. This is a machine that is working. It will break down one day. So as you are collecting the money, divide it. 1/3 for this, 1/3 for this, 1/3. So anytime there's a problem, you even take some and go and buy insurance. If you don't even have, go and buy insurance on the machine. That is why when we were in office, we decided that we were moving from purchase to lease. Okay. We'll do the figures. If there's a lease person, we'll lease it from you. The moment the machine spoils, it's your responsibility to fix it. It solves two problems. One, there's the problem of maintenance. The person will make sure that his machine is never broken down because he's losing revenue. Yeah. So he would ensure that according to the lease agreement, he will make sure that because the moment it's not working, the amount I have to pay you, I don't have to pay.
Yeah.
So he will make sure it's working. 2, he will never start pointing out the charlatans who are in the hospital, who have done deals with people who have the same kind of equipment not too far from the hospital. Either they are they have interest in it, or they know the person. So all of a sudden, this equipment, which is government, breaks down, and everybody is being referred to the one that is across the road. Hello?
So you feel it's a deliberate ploy?
Part of the problem. And you see, we don't want to hear truth, but this is it. So if you do lease, the person also becomes a policeman, because he's not allowing you to spoil his machine for you to go somewhere. When he changes it and comes and say, what happened to this? This is not the serial number on this bulb. When I took it, so somebody has taken it off. Where is that bulb? Nobody's going to touch his next bulb that he puts there. That is part of the reason why we said, let's go for lease, or let's look at leasing arrangements. Some of them are too expensive, shy away. Some are okay, you deal with them. And that way you don't even need middlemen. You go straight to the manufacturer. And if they have an agency here, they will be responsible for insuring. The only thing is that when you collect the money for your MRI, put it down for MRI. It's not part of your IGF to play with, because we now have to go and pay the lease person. But if you start spending it and the time comes to pay and you can't pay, the guy will not start looking after his machine. And he'll just say, pay me my money and I'll leave it. And you cannot just say, I'm going to buy a new machine. You don't have the money either. So there are things that to help ourselves, which we haven't done. And I know that under a new Mahama government, we will revisit a lot of these issues. And I don't want to go into too much detail, but I believe some of these things will come up within our manifesto.
Alex Segbefia, he is a former Minister of Health, and we've been talking a lot more about issues of national interest. When I returned from this break, remember he was Health Minister, and it's just giving you just a little of when he was Minister and how things were done. He will be telling us more about his experience as Health Minister. He would also be letting us into his portfolio as Deputy Defense Minister and Deputy Chief of Staff at the Presidency. I remember one of the things was the number of staff at the Presidency, just as we're having that conversation now. He'll be telling us more. He would also be telling us about his growing up as a young chap. What did he want to become whilst growing up? Plus, he'll be telling us about his family values and lifestyle. Stay with me. I'm coming right back. Welcome back to PM Personality Profile. My guest is Alex Segbefia. He's former Health Minister. The current Health Minister seemed to be overwhelmed with all the challenges facing us in our health sector. What was your experience whilst Minister of Health?
It's a very sober type job.
I see.
There are many facets to it that people don't even begin to fathom. So, for example, I was Health Minister when we had the unfortunate incident at the circle when it rained. And there was a fire.
The June 3 rain disaster.
Exactly. So I had to move from hospital to hospital, making sure that the people who had been injured and passed on were sent to the hospitals. So by the time we got to morning, I had to go to the 37 military hospital and actually had to go into the morgue.
Wow.
And there were, I think at the time, 30 or so odd people who had been burnt. Their positions when they died still remained. The look of shock still remained.
Wow. And
the only reason I was there was because I was Health Minister.
Yeah.
I was not there because I was a doctor or whatever. And it is interesting because when I came out and I went to the wards to see the patients, a journalist was there and they made a comment that, oh, but has he gone to see the people who have died? And somebody said, oh yes, that was the first place he went. And then the journalist said, oh, okay. So the point I'm making is that it is expected by some that you cover all bases at all times. But you become sober when you have to deal with people's grief. Yep. Because you have to deal with all that wailing, the crying, the silence, which is sometimes worse. People are just looking at you. They are not saying a word.
Yeah.
So I found that as one aspect. You then see the joy of people when you have Onyado vans travel to a remote area. And they are able to see a number of people in the villages with different ailments, some of which just needed a little bit of help to solve. And the person is gone, and his children are elated, mothers are thanking the doctors and whatnot. And then you see another side of it, which gives you joy. Then you deal with the day-to-day bustle of running a ministry. I had the fortune of dealing in 3 spheres. I was at the presidency, I was in what I call the best ministry in Ghana, and I was in one of the worst ministries in Ghana. Not worst as in bad, but in terms of how to manage and how it's run. The Ministry of Defense, ooh la la.
Okay.
Order.
Yeah.
Just like the military itself. People don't walk in and out.
Anyhow.
Files are brought. You can't say you haven't read a letter.
Okay.
Because the letters are there, and if you don't sign, it doesn't leave your desk. You must read, sign. So tomorrow you can't say, I didn't see it.
Okay.
So even if it's authored by somebody else, you see all the signatures, Chief Director, myself, Minister of Health, all of us would know this letter passed through us. This was authorized or this was not. So when you are speaking to a subject, you've had, no, even if you were not in the office, when you travel and you come, the files are there. Read and sign.
Okay.
And you date when you sign. So that's when you got to know. Except the letters that are in that you yourself sign. Fantastic systems.
Okay.
And you could feel the order and the discipline in the system. When you sit at your meetings, you have the military side on the one hand, and then you have the civilian side. And it was a joy. It's all I can say. Okay. I can say. Because then I went to health. Oh, you are. Because that is real hustle and bustle.
And human.
Because of the size.
Yep.
And because in the military, you are dealing with sections which has its own commanders who run issues in a very strict, orderly fashion. The same does not apply. You're dealing with FDA. You're dealing with NHIA. You're dealing with Thermal Teaching Hospital. You're dealing with this. You're dealing with that. You're dealing with Cape Coast. You are all of them. Then you are dealing with Ghana Health Service, which deals with all those regional hospitals, and you are dealing with tertiary, separate. Now, you have to be a quick learner. You have to begin to understand the nuances. And there are many facets. The trick, don't follow the money, follow the job. You'll be good.
Okay.
Just know what it is you have to do.
I'm wondering how you can forget about the money.
Well, do what, don't be thinking of, oh, what can I do? No.
Yeah.
I had a policy, very simple one. I don't talk to any of my chief executives about their contracts. Not interested. But if something happens in Tamale Teaching Hospital, and a journalist like your good self call me and say, Alex Segbefia, you are Minister of Health, we've heard that in Tamale Teaching Hospital. The first question I'll ask you is, why have you called me? In Tamale Teaching Hospital, they have a PRO.
Okay.
They have a chief director. They have a CEO.
Okay.
They have a board chair. when you come to my ministry, I have a PRO, I have a chief director, I have a deputy, then I have me. If I check, and I went, at least I'm number 8. How did you jump?
You know the bureaucracy.
How did you jump all those people?
You know the bureaucracy in the public sector, and there are some information you definitely, I can assure you, you won't get from a PRO.
No,
but you can get from a minister, because the minister can say authentically, we've done ABC.
When you call me and I'm not aware of the problem, what I'll tell you is, give me a moment, I'll find out. Because I must go and talk to the chief executive to find out what has really happened, or the board chair, before I will even come to you. Then I'll also have to speak to my chief director to be sure that what I'm being told is what is happening. So yes, there are circumstances where it is necessary, but most of the time it is not. And if you compromise yourself with your chief executives, when the problem comes, you must also be willing to talk to it, because you don't know what is coming or not coming.
Yeah.
I didn't compromise. You, if the answer, answer the question set.
Okay.
Yes, simple. There's a problem, you are in charge, so I empower you. Take responsibility for what you have. And if it's overwhelming, I'll get involved.
Okay.
But I won't get involved. I don't know what you have done on a day-to-day basis. And life shows, if you lie once, you have to add another 5 to continue. Before long, we'll catch you out.
Yeah.
Your job is on the line. So I leave them to deal with I stay in my lane so that they too can stay in their lane. So if a scandal or something crops up here, I have no problem asking you. Because I haven't come to you to employ my cousin, haven't done it.
Yeah. Okay.
But it gives me peace of mind. So yes, people say, oh, when you were there, you didn't do this, you could have done this. The only thing I answer to them is that I sleep at night. I never wake up when a dog barks thinking they have come for me, or somebody is looking for me. No, I sleep. I don't dream even, I sleep.
Okay.
I have no problem with the work I did as a minister, either as a deputy or a deputy chief. No, none at all. I sleep. I have a clear conscience.
What are you proud of as Minister of Health during your tenure?
I think that I'm not singularly proud. I'm proud of the government I worked in, both with Professor Mills and with President Mahama. And my pride grows every day this government stays in power, because they would never have tolerated 25% of what is going on currently. You would have lost your job long time ago. Somebody thought about 1 million. She just thought about it. She had lost her job. There was an inquiry about Sipa Yankee. We hadn't been in power how much under Mills. Step aside, we'll look at it. When he was cleared, come and be CEO of Ghana Gas. Kufuor's era, there was an issue about roads. Anani, step aside. Let's see where we are going. There's an issue now, which for me, step aside. Let's go and find out what. If you are clear, come back. Debida, everybody is, or maybe let's go and, hello. Hello. Look, I am proud of having served under President Mills. May he rest in peace, and President Mahama. May he come back and continue. Alex
Segbefia, straight away I know you're from the Volta region, correct?
Yes.
Which part of the Volta region are you from?
I'm from the city that is in the water called Anyako.
Okay.
And Anyako told there, greetings to my people from Anyako. And there's a part of me which people don't actually know. My darling mother is actually from Barbados.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm half Bajan, half Ghanaian.
Oh, I see.
But I've never lived in. I've been there a number of times, but I've never lived anywhere but Ghana and the UK.
Okay.
So, and I was born in Ghana. So
where, to be precise?
At Ridge Hospital.
Okay.
Yes.
In Accra.
In Accra.
Okay.
And when I was 3 months old, when I was born, my father had a place in Mataheko. When I was 3 months old, they moved to this house. So in actual fact, that's one of the things I have in common with Nana Addo. I live in my father's house, and I've never lived in any other house in Accra apart from this house.
Okay.
I have only 2 things in common with Nana Addo.
And the second is?
We support the same team, Tottenham.
Okay.
Apart from that, there's nothing common again.
Are you sure?
No, we both like music. He likes music, I like music.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Look, Nana Addo is a fun guy and a nice guy to be with, but I don't agree with his politics, period. Okay. That's where we part ways.
You part ways.
But apart from that, look, I'm sure if we start with Harvard, we'll be fine.
You've lived here all your life?
Yes.
Born, bred, buttered, cheesed in Accra?
Accra.
You've never lived in Anyako?
Oh, Anyako, we go there weekends, and when I was young, when my father was alive, yes, we would sometimes spend even a week. Okay. Anyako or Tajevu, which is like a twin city across. Okay. So I vote in Tajevu, which is K2 North, but I'm actually from Anyako. Okay. But when I was going to register in Anyako, I was creating waves for people who thought I was coming to contest. And I said, I'm not contesting anything. I'll go to my K2 North and be quiet. So I registered in K2 North because we have a home there as well. K2 North is historically a spiritual city because ARS Church, that is the birth or the home place of Prophet Wovenu's church. Okay. So, and my father used to be a member of the church. And so we have a place there. So that is where but I'm born, bred
in Accra.
Anyako is my hometown.
Is your hometown? Nyabro.
Okay.
Okay.
So that is my hometown, okay. And that's where. But in Accra, I've never lived in any other home except this one.
This one.
So that is it. And I came from a large family. My father had 14 boys. Wow. Yeah.
With your mom?
No. Okay. 5 women, 14 boys.
Oh, wow. He's a strong man.
Well, he didn't do as well as my grandfather's demo.
Really?
Yes. So, but no. My father was a politician, hardcore. Okay. Yeah. And he was a member of parliament for our Veno constituency under the Buzia government. He was an NAL. He was part of the Bedema group. Okay. And so I grew up in a political family. Okay. So when I was young,
no wonder.
I used to see the likes of Bedema, Hali, Imoro Igala used to come across the road. That's the house. Golden Link Savings and Loans actually belonged to him.
Okay. Imoro
Igala, and he gave it to his daughter, I think, or this thing. So she's in charge of it now. Okay. But that is the background. Professor Kuma was behind us. Ofuri. I grew up around politics. And Liman used to come next door, and they used to have talk under the tree. Okay. And then I went to Achimota school, so and I used to ride horses, so I used to meet Rawlings regularly in those days because he also loved horses. That's how I actually first met him. And then I was a cadet, so we were linked to Recce, so we were linked to the military side, and so we met. Rawlings would also come and meet us, or he would fly over and wave us and whatnot. Okay. And so that was me when I was young. I guess we met 79. 79 came, did his bit. And then I was in Form 5 when 79 took place. Okay. And then I was in 6th Form in 81, when 81 also took place. And then after that, I left to London.
I guess your growing up was fun because you were the B. Your father was a politician. You had all the good things going for you, right?
I was more of a Dada A. Because my name is Alex, so I was saying that I wouldn't take the B. Okay. But no, I had a fantastic childhood. I learned how to swim. You know, down the road is Tesamo Sports Club.
Yeah.
And so I learned how to swim very early in life.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's a DB life, you know.
Well, but I was also a master at Chaskele.
Okay.
And so if you didn't know and you brought the milk tin, I would definitely demolish you. Because I used to sneak out to the back at Penkwa Park, play football from morning to night.
You had friends
and
around.
Yeah. And it's amazing. That is why people never understood why I don't speak Ga, because I used to use all the Ga terminology for football.
You don't speak Ga?
No.
Till today?
No, I don't speak
My
Ga.
goodness.
Yeah.
But you speak Ewe?
Oh, no. So I'm not the best. But for me, I've always said that it is one of my failings not to speak fluently any Ghanaian language. It's a failing because when it comes to communication, people want to speak in the language that they need.
Yeah, they can relate.
So when I'm chastised, especially by my political family, I accept the criticism and the chastisement on the chin. I don't run away from it. The only caveat I give is that, well, if I am speaking sense, I can only speak in one language, perhaps, and you hear it. But if I was a fool and I was speaking 5 languages, I'll fool 5 different people. So I'll be fooling people in 5 different languages.
That's your only conviction.
So that's my only conviction that, okay, I'll stick with my one. So that when I'm being foolish, they can accept it on that score. But no, it's something that, well, with time, who knows?
So were there terrible moments too, as young chap?
Don't forget, for me, I grew up, as I said, we were 14 boys. And I started burying my brothers who were sickle cell. One died at 8, one died at 23, one died at 25, one died at 28. So I did 4 funerals every 2 years.
My
3 years,
goodness. Oh,
back to
no.
back. So that's why I have maybe a different perspective on life in terms of how people see it, as opposed to we are only creatures of our experiences.
Yeah.
And so I like good things, but I don't know how to kill myself for them.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it must be on the street. Then I'm good to go.
Okay.
But if not, and maybe because I also had the opportunity to have a lot of fun when I was young. I started driving at a very early age, and I wasn't driving
just any car.
No.
Okay.
It was the business car.
Tell me about
I was driving.
it. Yeah.
And I mean, those days when we used to do KTK, we used to do Black Caesar, we used to do even under curfew. I mean, we've done all the dance steps and dance moves we need to do.
Tell me.
So now if I don't go anywhere, it doesn't bug me in any way.
You've seen it
I've
all.
seen it, I've been there, done it. So for me, that was good. So now when I want to concentrate on what I'm doing, I concentrate. I don't miss a lot of the stuff that maybe some people have. And so I know, not that I think, I know that I'm blessed.
Okay.
And God has been extremely good to me because people haven't done 10% of what I've done, and they are still striving. And so I will never be in a position to say, oh, I wish this. I will just say thank you for putting me where I am, dear Lord, and continue to watch you and take care of me. I have 4 lovely children, so 2 boys, 2 girls.
Okay,
I ate okro too in the right order, so 1 boy, 1 girl, 1 boy, 1 girl.
You are blessed.
So
let's talk about Achimota School.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, it's one of the schools that everybody wanted to attend at that time. How was Achimota School?
Achimota School was extremely lovely. I mean, as I said to someone, when we got to school, and I'm a product of the CMB scholarship. In those days, Cocoa Marketing Board scholarships.
Your father wasn't a cocoa farmer, was he?
He was a farmer, but not a cocoa farmer.
But
that's not the way it was done. In those days, there was scholarships for the cocoa farmers, but then there was scholarships given for the top echelon of students who passed at a certain grade.
Okay. And you were one of them?
And so once you passed at a certain grade, you passed to be considered for a Cocoa Marketing Board scholarship. So a lot of the people who came to Achimota were normally at the top end, and many of them were on Cocoa Marketing Board scholarships. And we paid a little bit for tuition, but literally nothing.
Okay.
And when you got to school, on your first day, they brought you a brand new mattress. And you were given your 2 or 3 shorts and 2 or 3 shirts. You had an Achimota school belt with an S on it for the school. And you had your PE kit. And every house was given a set of hockey sticks, hockey balls, volleyballs, nets, and there was space. So, and then we had our own athletics field. So it was a real Dadabi school.
Yeah.
Or Dada school.
I know, right?
So, and that was another issue. Everybody could speak vernacular, but they never did.
Yeah.
It was not hip to speak vernacular. So everybody wanted to show that they knew more English than the next person.
I see.
So you tend to find that people spoke more English than Ga, Chi, Ewe, or
Probably because you also had teachers from outside the country.
Well, we had American exchange, what were they called? SOS, I think, teachers. But that was not the norm. We had a lot of local, or no, I shouldn't say local, but Ghanaian teachers. We had some very good teachers who were Ghanaian.
Okay.
Mrs. Say comes top of the list to my mind. Afoto Law. We had Larry Capson.
Okay.
We had Mr. Ashi, who was sports. I could name. We had the expatriates as well. Baham, Mrs. Baham, and Mr. Baham. Mr. Baham was music. Mrs. Baham was geography. But we had a mixture. Mr. Kwame, music teacher. Many of them are not with us today. Bearing in mind my age, that's not surprising. But no, we had a good crop of teachers, and we were also mixed. So we had boys and girls in the school. So it also, I think, balanced. I've always believed that Motowners have a balance, or mixed school students have balance, because we learned early how to deal with the opposite sex in our vicinity.
Okay.
But you know, these are infancy boys who are making noise.
You mean they can't teach you anything?
They'll be on there. You see them on the phone by the time this program is on. Hey, what did that voice say?
Really?
But no.
Okay.
No, but fantastic school in fancy.
Were you a bad boy?
No, I wasn't a bad boy. I was a semi-good boy.
Good boy. Okay. Define that for me.
Well, we did all the things in school that one would do. So we would go out at night and come back. We would, what's it called? Go and watch movies. Okay. Because those days it was Orion or Opera Square. Opera Square used to have a movie at what was the time? 12 o'clock, 12 noon. Yeah. And then they would have one at even 4. And how to get back to school. And you'd have to know how to navigate yourself. We would go and to pop chain, and we had fun. Okay. We had fun. Okay. But at the same time, we were studious. So we kept with the books, and because we had good teachers. Yeah. It was easy to keep up. Okay. It wasn't them just throwing textbooks at you, and you had to go and
read
find
on your own
way. So for those of us who had good teachers like that, when we got to the point where you had to do it all on your own, then you could hit a stumbling block, because it was a new area for you, so to speak. But beyond that, no.
Achimota was a mixed school, right? And you being a DB, I'm sure all the girls were falling for you.
It's not true. It's not true. All of us were DBs.
What's true?
And the girls were even more. Okay. So it doesn't work like that. Okay. No, funnily enough, it wasn't like, I don't know how to put it, wasn't at the top of the agenda for many of us. It was more you wanted to do well in a sport. Yeah. Because that's when possibly the ladies would notice you or not.
Okay.
So people who played ball played serious football.
Okay.
Those who played hockey would play serious hockey.
I see.
And those who were athletes, that was the one. If you could run or you could, because then we had the house games all together.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was it. If you're playing football, it's just the boys and listen. But so it's not, if you're the school team, it makes a difference because then but hockey, we had both boys and girls, so that was also something where we would all be maybe on the pitch.
And which of these were you doing?
I played hockey and football.
Okay, that means
those were my
the girls also noticed you at some
not
point.
necessarily, because when when we started playing hockey, there were seniors before us, and it's funny. I mean, a lot of the people who went to Achimota, either many of them are in NPP. Many of them are in NDC.
Okay.
So I get a flavor of both of them wherever I go. But I saw the Motown girls. They were very pretty. Don't joke at all.
Tell me.
So it was people used to come from outside to look for our girls.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and you just sat there
we were
watching.
just watching them and telling them that you wait, our time will come. But no, it was really good fun. Being in the school, and in terms of our heritage as a school and where we stand, I think that we've done well as a school. We are still continuing to build. There was a lot of encroachment of our land. We've now been able to stop that because of building and people wanting land. But a lot of land which actually belonged to us has been lost, but they're not going to fight on that now. We'll just keep what we have.
But were there challenges in Achimota?
Yes, there are challenges everywhere. But compared to other places, not things that you'd worry yourself too much about. And most of them were addressed. So even though there were some challenges, I wouldn't be able to put my hand on my heart and say that this is what happened, but I would just say that there were challenges. But at that level and at that stage, we were able to cope with the mechanisms. We did all the things other people do. We've had water shortages. We go and fetch water, go and weed. We had a school farm, so we actually used to be able to feed ourselves at one point, etc., etc. So we've had some challenges, but they made us tougher and stronger and got us where we are today. So we love the school dearly, and we wouldn't exchange it for anything.
What would you describe as your awkward moment whilst in Achimota?
I came back from the dining room and I had chalk on me, and I was writing on the floor, on the road. It's like being on the main road. I was writing house 12 is the best. I was in house 12.
Okay.
As I was doing the B, I had papa. When I turned, it was the assistant.
Okay.
He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I was just testing my writing."
Your writing skills on the streets, right?
His name was Peter Renner.
Okay.
He said, "See me in my office tomorrow." It was a sleepless night. I wondered what they were going to do with me. Because that road also had private people coming from the golf course. So his argument was, I shouldn't be writing on the road.
Yeah.
But two, not where there are public people because on our side, there were people from outside who come. So I attended his office. When I got there, my awkward situation almost became a matter of mirth, or should I say, of laughter. Okay. Because there were 3 seniors who had also been stopped for something and were there. So when he came out of his office and saw all the 4 of us, he said, "Yes, I caught all of you doing wrong things. Come into my office." So we all went in, and I was Form 2.
At that time.
And they were Form 4.
Okay.
So maybe I was even Form 1. I think they were 2 or 3 years ahead of 3 years maybe. Anyway, so I went in and he said, "Oh, you stand aside first." So I stood aside.
You're a genius.
And he called the 3 and went. He had a cabinet, not a cabinet, a bin in which he had canes.
Okay.
So he clear. This one. And he picked 2. And he called the first one. And the people had gone to pad themselves. They were wearing about 3 or 4 shorts. And they attacked in their shirts. So he immediately pulled all their shirts up to remove the padding of the shirts.
Okay.
By the time he released the first lash, the person who released one was under his desk table. And you cannot imagine I burst out laughing because these were our seniors that, you know, hey, these were untouchable seniors who you thought, you know, when they say, Nino man, small boy, but, oh yes, the guy was under the table. The others were weeping even before they started. By the time he had dealt with them, and it got to my turn, he himself was in a Matthew. What you were right on the okay, pia pia. He literally didn't do anything to me. He had to do something, so pia pia, go.
And then
when I stepped outside, the 4 of them were there.
You are dead.
They said, if we ever hear that what happened here has ever gone out,
then you are the one.
So as I'm speaking here, I hope none of them is watching.
You are even lucky they didn't beat you.
I'm telling you. But no, they were embarrassed. Because they were reduced to nothing. In front of you. In front of me. So that was one of my awkward moments, but it ended up with me having a serious laugh.
So in Achimota, I'm sure you had some bullying as well, especially as the child of a politician. Anytime they got angry with government, you bear the brunt.
we had our fair share of bullying, and it took different formats: scrubbing, kneeling down, adanko, weeding. The classic for me was I had a senior, and he saw me came and saw me at my chop box, and I had 4 tins of sardine, and 5. So on the Monday when I put them aside, he saw it. He said he wants 1, so I gave him 1. So I was left with 4.
3.
By the 3rd day, when he asked for the 3rd one or the 4th one, I gave it to him. But then when he left immediately, I opened the last one.
So he doesn't come for it.
So Gary with my colleague, and we ate. So the next day, he came
for the last one.
He said, "Where is can I have the sardine?" So we've eaten it. Okay. I slept under his bed for 3 weeks.
Can you imagine?
Anytime he comes from prep, and he's coming, I have to go under his bed and lie down. So when it's lights out for the juniors, then he'll tell me to go to my bed and sleep. So I only had a 10-15 minute gap because we finished prep at 30 minutes before or 20 minutes before they did. So when we finish, he will still be in prep. So I have to sort myself out in that. But the moment I hear them coming on, I go and lie under his bed. 3 weeks. So we've all been there.
Interesting. So then you went to the UK to train as a lawyer and then practice in the UK.
Yes.
Tell me about it, the training and the practice. I'm sure it will be
I didn't have the grace to read law immediately. So when I went, I did 2 of my A-levels again, maths and economics.
Okay.
Got the grades, went to Essex University. And in Essex University, that was also a different experience. But it was fun, different environment from Ghana. So it meant that you spend more time concentrating on studying and getting yourself. And you also had to work in between because your survival was based on what you could actually generate and not necessarily that your father or your parents could send you money. So your everyday living was dependent on you sorting yourself out, doing odd jobs and stuff to get things done.
Yeah.
So that was my becoming a man, if I can put it, or independent, totally, period. And that was good for me. And so when I finished, I was based in Essex, finished, went to, did the bar, and then I was employed in 1989 as a lawyer with the Crown Prosecution Service.
Okay.
So I became a Crown Prosecutor And I had rose right up to the point of a unit head. I practiced law for just under 20 years, 19 years something.
Wow.
With the Crown Prosecution Service. And then Professor Mills invited me to come. At the time I had joined the NDC, I was at the time the chairman of the UK and Ireland branch of the NDC from 2000 to over 2009, 2008, 2009. But in that period, he then invited me to become his campaign coordinator. So I left in 2006, 7, and came to Ghana, and then acted as campaign coordinator for him.
Okay.
And then I have the enviable position of being the singular campaign manager of the NDC, who has brought the party from opposition to government.
Okay.
Every other successful campaign coordinator, we were already in power.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for somebody to
to
join me as of this year.
Okay.
So when the campaign teams come out, we'll see how it goes. And but it was a good experience. I loved every moment of it. Very dicey election, as you know. First time we had 3 voting sessions for 1, 2, and then time. But we pulled through. Then I became deputy chief of staff, and then we lost Prof. Very sad day, but we pulled through. And then President Mahama came. Then I became deputy minister of defense, and then I became minister of health. Then we lost the election, unfortunately, and I've been now made the director of international relations, and that is where I am.
Let's talk about you as deputy chief of staff. Your boss was there, but you were calling the shots also. And I'm sure at that time, as we're complaining about the size of government right now, at that time, we're also talking about the size of government as well. Was it one of the issues that gave you sleepless nights?
Not really, because I think that we could justify the positions that people had, even if people didn't agree.
Yeah.
We didn't have an excess of presidential staffers. The numbers were considered huge, but in our case, we were able to juxtapose it against what President Kufuor had left.
Okay.
And therefore, we were not out of sync. The same doesn't apply now. Where we left it and what is there now is a gulf. There's a lot, the number of positions that have been created under the Nana Addo government have been numerous. And some of them, you can't even understand. This thing for this person, this for the diaspora, this for the diaspora, this one for this for communication, this person communication, this one, and it's all almost duplicated jobs left, right, and center. And that for me is why it became really topical, and it became worse when we were having problems with our economy, and therefore people thought government expenditure should be cut, and therefore when you have that size of a bloated government, then it becomes even more topical. So once again, there's no comparison. People just have to go and, the figures are there. Go and look at the figures under Kufuor. Go and look at the figures under Mills Mahama. Go and look at the figures under President Nana Addo. And he tells his own story.
Yeah.
So every government is like the size of government.
Okay.
When we were in, Rawlings was in office, President Kufuor made a lot of noise about the size of government. When he came into government, after 4 months, he said, you know, I was outside, so I didn't know. Now I'm inside, no. I have to keep the size of government.
Okay.
Okay. When we came, we said we'll cut it. We cut it by only about 5, I believe, at the time. When Mahama was in office, NPP was telling us that we were overspending, our government was too large. The first set of people that Nana Addo brought, 125 ministers. Now we had crossed the Rubicon, and the rest is history. So now, even when he has, I think, 80-something or 90 ministers, thereabouts, 90 odd ministers or 80-something, it's very difficult for him to be able to justify the numbers. So we say we will work with 60.
Yep.
And as a result of that, Baumia says you work with 50.
But why didn't you reduce it to 60 then? Why now?
Because we don't have the same economic conditions we had then. The economic conditions now cannot sustain what we have now. They cannot. We really have to get real with ourselves. The reality is that we are broke. If we were even broke, that's one thing. We are bankrupt. We can't pay our debts.
The NPP says you are not an alternative.
So what? We should stay broke. I mean, we are the bottom. And who took us there? We should stay with you. You have taken us somewhere we don't want to be, and we should stay with you. I mean, they should get real. If it wasn't that they had a propaganda machinery that still works, they wouldn't even be in this race.
Let me pick your thoughts on the this leaked tape about the AG and Richard Jakpa, who is a third defendant in the Atto-Forson case. You as a lawyer, and the NPP says the AG did nothing wrong with the communication with Richard Jakpa. What's your own stance on all the development?
Let me deal directly first with your question before I actually speak on it.
Okay.
The AG says, they say he did nothing wrong. Yet before even we heard Jakpa's tape, they had put out a statement. First one, there was no such meeting. He has never met with these people. Then the second one was that he had met, but it was due to him meeting with. So if there was nothing wrong, what was the need for any explanations prior to us even hearing the tape? Something was wrong. I won't speak much on it because it's still a live case. And I played a part in the actual issues that have led to this. So I'm very wary of talking about it. But I'm going to talk simply about what has happened. And as I said earlier on another program, there's the court of public opinion. Then there's the ethical considerations. And then there's the legal considerations. The court of public opinion has already made up its mind for now. And it's not looking good for your Attorney General. It's looking grave. The ethical and the legal side are waiting, quite rightly, for formal things to be done, like the tape being properly put to the court, people making formal applications to either the Ghana Bar Association, legal counsel, or whatever, to look into matters. And then the process can begin. One of the issues is authenticating the tape in question. But there are only two people in the tape. Jakpa, and we are told the AG. Getting it authenticated is very easy. AG, is this your tape? Is this you? Yes or no?
Okay.
I don't know why we are going round. Because you were able to issue statements so very quickly all this time, before even the tape came.
Yeah.
Now the tape is out. What we want to know is this you or not? It's one thing. It's either it's not you, or secondly, it's you but it's doctored. So tell us which one is it. But they are finding it very difficult to speak to the issues for a number of reasons. According to Sami Jemfi, he said this is one of the tapes. So there's something, there's some waiting.
Okay.
So you have to tread carefully, because maybe something will come out which is even more than the one that has come. We don't know. So, okay, let's go through the process, authenticate it. But like I said, the thing has such serious repercussions for us as a country in terms of legal practice.
Okay.
And the lawyers know. I've heard people trying to, look, in a criminal trial, this is not a civil case. In a criminal trial, prosecutors don't speak to defendants. In the rare cases where you can, so for example with plea bargaining, you will do so in the presence of the person's lawyer. And if the person is not represented, you will seek, in my humble opinion, according to our ethics, express permission from the court to continue to do so, so that they are aware that the conversation is going on. There was correspondence. The correspondence in 2022. What has happened since then till now? So it's for me, it doesn't bode well. So the court should authenticate well, they should formally put a claim to the court. The court can now decide whether they are going to authenticate or not, as the case may be. But you see, the reason why it is crucial in this case, everybody is missing the point. Say, oh, look, the two are separate. They are not necessarily separate. If the content of the tape is taken at its highest, it is a prosecutor trying to get a witness to give evidence against another defendant in his favor, in a way, and not cogent evidence, evidence that is not true. And it was said in the tape, I can't do this because it will go against my conscience. That's what Jakpa said. So, if that is the case, it enters into a different sphere. Now you are entering into criminality, perverting the course of justice. I shudder to think, for this matter to go through a certain process quietly, this is why I gave the examples previously. Step aside. Let a proper investigation be carried out. Let those who have the ability to prosecute, there are many ages, lawyers, they can continue with the case. You're not the only one who attends. Others have. Let them continue. But even the continuation of the case is problematic, because till the tape is authenticated, how does the witness give his evidence, and what weight do you put? Because it is on record on in the proceedings that I was contacted and I was asked to fabricate evidence. One of the conclusions you can draw from that is that I don't have enough evidence against somebody, so I need you to fabricate evidence. And if that conclusion is drawn, that person, you don't continue against him, because it's implicit. But it's all conjecture for now. I'm not going into the trial itself, so I'm talking of what the implications are of what was said or what was recorded. Well, it's a bad place to be.
Let's see how it goes, especially as the court has said that it will not be affected by political events around the case. They will go strictly according to the facts and the law. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll also see if the president or he himself will step aside for the case to go on. We'll see. But what next for Alex Segbefia?
Campaign, campaign, campaign.
Okay.
That's what's next for me. We are going on the campaign trail. We are going to convince Ghanaians why they have to vote for the NDC and remove the NPP out of office. The NPP is the same NPP. Nothing has changed. It's the same NPP that has brought us where we are. We have a candidate who is now disowning his boss, but he is part of government. And if he's part of government and he's disowning his boss, it begs the question, why is there so much clamor to hold such a seriously important position if you're not prepared to take the responsibility that it goes with? So you would expect him to be defending the policies of government. If he was the right leader, he could have said, oh no, the government has 80 ministers now. I think it's appropriate and I will try and do 75, but I think I need those ministers. This is the number. But for you to say that where we are, I'm going to reduce it to 50. Mama said 60. You are just doing competition with your opponent, not thinking about what the job entails. You say you are going to do 50 ministers. And you are working. Is
it not workable?
You are vice president. If it's workable, tell your boss. Tell your boss that the 80 is too much. Why? Just recently, you couldn't swear in a certain number of ministers. How many? Why didn't you just say, look, let's leave it? The opposition is being difficult. Leave them. We don't even need this number of ministers. Let's shuffle what we have and continue. Why didn't they do that? You want to save Ghana money. Yeah, so, I mean, what have you said? I think that he's in a very, very bad place. And so, for me, the difficulties that we have with the narrative that has come from Baumia, the leadership that has come from President Nana Addo, the untruths that have been taken by NPP as a political party, and the need for Ghanaians in general, including NPP, to know that change is necessary. Very important now, and it is Mahama time. That is my agenda.
Will you take up another ministerial portfolio in an NDC government?
It depends on whether it's an offer or not.
Okay.
Because they might decide to use it. They will, if they ask me to serve, I will serve. But in what capacity, I don't know. So when you specifically say ministerial, I don't know.
Are you ready to serve the NDC government in any capacity?
In any capacity. In any capacity.
Preferably?
Preferably in a position of service.
Which is?
A position of service.
Well,
I break the portfolios differently. You can work in the presidency, you can work as an ambassador, you can work as a CEO, you can work as a minister. All of them are on the table. So if they call you and say do A or B or C, you go ahead.
You're ready for any of them.
Yeah.
Well, wish you all the best
as
you set out to campaign for your party to come back to power. And we also wish you all the best. If your party wins, wherever they put you, you're ready to offer your service. I must say we are really, really proud of your achievements. Thank you so much for your contribution to the development of Mothergan. I'm sure the kids, your 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, and wifey, they're all proud of your achievements.
They have been actually very supportive.
Okay.
And I never bring them into the political limelight. So my wife would campaign with me.
Oh, wow.
But she will not necessarily be in the photographs.
Okay.
So she'll be there once in a while, you see her, but she would not do anything to put herself forward.
What's your relationship with your children?
Very good, actually. I have a lot of fun with my kids. And they are all working now, so they've all finished university and they are all working. They are now working people. So that has taken a bit of pressure off as a parent. But it's also fun because I can have adult conversations with my children, not like you're talking to a child who you're now trying to do. No, I have full-blown, and I can tell them anything, they can tell me anything. So I am actually proud of the relationship I have with my kids. And it makes it easier and it's fun. It makes it all worthwhile. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes it all worthwhile.
And your wife, are you a romantic husband?
I don't. My wife is a very lovely woman. Okay. She's extremely beautiful in my eyes.
Okay, of course.
She's shaped properly. She's got lovely eyes and lovely hair. Okay. Got good skin tone. Okay. And she's extremely intelligent in terms of marriage. Wow. And therefore, I always say that my marriage is good because of my wife. I thank God for her life. So that is my wife.
She's being a supportive wife.
Completely, 100%.
And you've been a romantic husband? Have you been one?
You have to ask her. How will I know whether I'm romantic or not?
I'm sure she's been giving you feedback.
So when you meet her, ask her.
But I must also say you look very fit. I mean, of course, as a former health minister, what do you expect? Do you engage in any form of sports? I mean, whilst in school you said you were doing hockey, but now do you still do some sports and activity?
Now all I do are 2 things. I try to walk, not often enough. I try to swim, not often enough. Okay. But those are the 2 things that I do. I used to ride. Okay. I love horses, but I haven't had the time because you have to go to the stable, ride, make sure the things, and I get involved in horses, so it means I have to spend time, and time is not my friend when it comes to horses. So I've kind of cut down, but I think I'll go back. It's very good. You exercise every single muscle on your body because of the movement of the horse and stuff. The same applies with swimming. So those are the 2 things I do. Every once in a while, I do some walking, but not often. I don't trust our roads too much, and I'm not a treadmill fan, but I'll try. Okay.
And of course, when you are relaxed, you love to enjoy music and you love to dance.
Yes, I love to dance a lot, but that's a different story.
Is it? Is it? Is it?
Yes,
what genre of music do you love to listen to?
Everything. I mean, I love hip hop. I love 70s, 80s, 90s disco music. The old, what everybody calls old school.
Okay.
I listen in certain moments to a lot of jazz, but I'm deep into reggae.
Okay.
I like the old reggae tunes. We grew up on it in school, so that is it. So I listen to all kinds of music, and I like a lot of the modern high life or hip tunes that come out nowadays. Especially also with the Nigerian tunes that come out.
Okay.
So I don't keep up, but I love the music. And now music it comes so fast and furious. But those that hit and stay at the top for a while are the ones I keep up with.
Okay. Do you have a favorite?
Oh, at the moment, everybody knows that my favorite is Sugar Cane.
Oh.
So when I listen to that tune, I'm always very happy. It's been my favorite for years.